Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for stopping by today. Today I'm going to be creating a couple of love-themed cards using this 100% lovable stamp set from My Favorite Things. And I just love these big, bold sentiments. And I'm going to show you how to really create an easy ombre look. We're only going to be using one color of stamping ink, and then we're going to be using some colored pencils to create the shading and create that ombre look. Now, I'm using sentiments today, but you could absolutely do this on any of your stamped images that have some solid area that you could add a little bit of colored pencil to. So I'm creating two cards at the same time today, and I've started out by placing a couple of pieces of watercolor cardstock into my MISTI tool, and I've mounted a couple of different sentiments, and I'm stamping them onto my watercolor cardstock using some Hero Arts ink. By the way, I will have all of the supplies that I used in these projects listed over at my blog, and I'll have the featured supplies listed in the description at YouTube. So if you're ever looking for something that I used, you can find it there. So I went ahead and double stamped those images, and today I'm going to be using my Polychromos colored pencils to add shading. I got these as a Christmas gift from my daughter. My husband allowed her to pick out whatever she wanted to get me, and she knows I have been talking about these colored pencils. She's a little artist herself, so she's seen reviews on YouTube and things like that, but this colored pencil set just makes my little rainbow lovin' heart so very happy. So I've picked out a few different colors of like reds and pinks that coordinate with the ink that I've used. And I picked out a red color because I wanted intensity along the bottom of these sentiments. And I've also picked out a pink that's a little bit darker than the ink that I used, and then a pink that's around the same shade. And by using these different colors of pencils, I can kind of blend them into each other and then blend it into the ink that I use to stamp my sentiments. Now, the thing about colored pencils is they don't have to be an exact color, and you don't have to use Polychromos colored pencils for this. You can use your Crayola pencils, you can use your Prismacolor pencils, whatever you have, go ahead and try them for this technique. I think you'll get great results. I just wanted to bust these out because I hadn't had a chance to use them since I got them for Christmas. So that's why I'm using them today. And I really do love these. These are an oil-based colored pencil rather than a wax-based colored pencil like the Prismacolors. And you can see after I've added the shading along the bottom, the difference that this makes. So the one on the left has no shading added, and the one on the right has the shading added. And what I've done is I've just worked from darkest at the bottom to that medium to the lightest and just kind of blended it up into the ink that I use to stamp my images. Now, when I did this, I knew I wanted to watercolor over the top of these. So I left my stamps right in place on my MISTI, and I placed my cardstock back into my MISTI. I prepped the surface using my powder tool, and now I'm stamping right over those sentiments using some Versamark ink because I'm going to add a little bit of embossing powder, clear embossing powder, over the top of these to add a little bit of shine and to allow these sentiments to resist the watercolor that I'm going to do over the top of them. So you saw me there. I actually stamped these twice using the Versamark ink so that I could get a lot of ink laid down. Then I added my clear embossing powder over the top and heat set that. Now, the other reason that I double stamped these is because this watercolor cardstock has some texture to it, and I wanted to make sure I got a really good embossed image. Now, because I'm using an ultrafine powder, I didn't get a lot of loft with the embossing powder, so I went ahead and stamped right over the top of that embossed image once again, and then I added another layer of embossing powder and heat set that so that I could kind of build up the loft on that embossing powder. You're not going to get as much loft with a super fine detail embossing powder that you're going to get with a regular grind embossing powder, so just keep that in mind. Now I'm using some Daniel Smith watercolors today, and you can see I had a little color key there, and I'm just grabbing a couple of these kind of tealy blue colors. I'm adding a little bit of water to my palette and mixing in some of that pigment there. I am not a watercolor artist. In fact, I'm not really an artist at all. But I do a little watercoloring, and I do enjoy having nice things to work with. So I'm using my Daniel Smith watercolors today, and as I mentioned before, I'll have the colors listed over at my blog and in the description at YouTube. And once I've got my colors mixed, I didn't mix any two colors together, but once I got the colors kind of watered down a little bit, I added some water over the top of the sentiments, and now I'm just dropping in color and allowing those to kind of blend together. So I'm using a lighter blue, kind of a lighter turquoise blue, and a little bit darker to add some intensity in certain areas. Now, watercolor is always going to dry back a little bit lighter than what you're putting it on, so keep that in mind. And if you want to build the intensity of the watercolor, you can add more pigment when you first mix your watercolor, or you can layer over the top once the watercolor has dried. Now, while these are still wet, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Tonic Nouveau shimmer pen and add a little bit of shimmer. I don't think it really made that big of a difference, but I was kind of playing and experimenting today, so I went ahead and did that. And now I've placed a postage edge die over the top of that card front that I've created. I've held it in place with some delicate surface painter's tape, and now I'm going to run it through my Gemini to die cut that. Now, I do have a video showing all of the die cut sandwiches that you'll need when you're using your Gemini Junior, so I'll be sure to link that. And you can see that these cut really nicely. So I wanted to keep these kind of simple, but I wanted to add some color and pattern. So what I decided to do was add a few strips of pattern paper cut into like some banner shapes along the top of these cards. So one of them, I actually wanted to use this washi tape, but I didn't want to use it as where you could see through it with the washi tape. So I went ahead and just mounted it on some white cardstock, and then I just trimmed it out and I used it as one of the pattern papers for my pattern paper grouping. Then I stapled them together using my tiny attacher and put them on the top of my card front using some foam adhesive. Now, I wanted to show you the difference. I'm using some My Favorite Things striped pattern paper. The one on the left is the one that I've used for a long time. It's the one that I create using the bold diagonal stripes background stamp. And then the one on the right was the one that is in the black and white striped pattern paper pad that I used today. So I went ahead and I put that onto my card front. I'm adding a little bit of twine over that grouping of banners there in the upper left-hand corner. I've placed some foam adhesive on the back of my card front. I probably should have added the twine first, but I didn't think about that, so live and learn. And then I mounted it to a piece of Hero Arts layering paper and then onto my card base that I made using some Essentials by Ellen linen cardstock. And then I just finished the card off with some shine with Pretty Pink Posh gold heart confetti and sparkling clear sequins. Now this card I actually made for my husband for our anniversary. We've been married for 17 years. We just celebrated, and I wanted to make a card that I could give to him on our anniversary or really any time of the year. And it's a really good thing that I didn't put the word anniversary on it because we went away for the weekend for our anniversary, and I didn't even sign the card and give it to him. So I'm a horrible wife, but you can see I added the Forever using my Dymo label maker there. And I finished it off in the same way that I finished the first card, but I kind of left off the twine on this one. And I added a little bit of washi along the bottom of that Forever sentiment that I created to go along with the stamp sentiment. So there you have it, 2 love-themed cards. A lot of people may think that these are Valentine, but I really think that these sentiments can be used for someone that you love any time of the year. And it's a good thing because clearly I'm not going to make the anniversary deadline this year. But maybe I can give it to him for Valentine's Day. He does know that I love him. I tell him every day we're happily married, and he did forgive me for not remembering to sign the card, even though he did make me an anniversary card. Yes, he did. I can't show it to you, but he made it out of computer paper, and it was adorable. As always, thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed these projects. As I mentioned before, there will be links to the featured products in the description at YouTube, but head on over to my blog for a complete list of supplies, more still shots, and more information over there. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who you think may like it. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Once again, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and hit the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.